Taoiseach, in yesterday's Irish Times there was a story by Kitty Holland that the largest direct provision centre in Dublin is to close at the beginning of December because the company who manage it have given notice of their intention to cease that contract. This is the third direct provision centre to close in Dublin this year, with a total of 357 people had been staying in them. These are asylum seekers with families, with young children who, in the case in Clondalkin, are in school in the community, in Deputy Curran's community, and all of whom have taken huge risks to get to safety here in Ireland. Now they are left with no information or no idea as to their accommodation. This is causing huge anxiety to children and the families and the wider community where these families are part of. 80 of the people affected in Clondalkin have refugee status already, and they now will actually seek rental accommodation in the private sector. However, given their limited means, they will have very little hope of actually securing that kind of accommodation over the course of 2 months. The way in which this is being managed, Taoiseach, is absolutely appalling. Surely sensitivity and notice could have been provided to these families. Alternative accommodation could have been made available or sought prior to the public announcement of this, or prior to the communication to the families. Can I ask, when was the Department of Justice informed that the contract was going to be discontinued? What plans are in place for the asylum seekers and their children, and particularly those children who are in schools in the community? According to the report, the Department of Justice will only meet the management of the centre this week. Why are you taking so long to meet the management, and can you confirm that alternative accommodation is going to be put in place?
Thank you, Deputy Calleary.
Thanks, Deputy, for raising this important issue, which is, of course, very much ongoing. The State offers accommodation to those who present in Ireland applying for international protection as asylum seekers. One of the network of centres around the State, one of the centres in the State, the Towers Hotel in Clondalkin, wrote to the Reception and Integration Agency, an agency of the Department of Justice and Equality, recently advising them that they will not be seeking to renew the contract in Clondalkin Towers. The contract is due to expire on the 3rd of December. Senior management in the Reception and Integration Agency engaged with the contractors on Tuesday, the 9th of October, just yesterday, to discuss the matter. The welfare residents will be kept at the centre of their approach. In the coming days, the agency will be in touch with each of the residents to bring them up to speed with developments and to advise them of the next steps. It wouldn't be appropriate to speculate on the outcome of those discussions at this stage. In the wider scheme, the Department has placed an advertisement in the national media seeking additional accommodation, fully compliant with the recommendations of the McMahon report, to meet current and future demand. Quite separate to this is also an open competitive process to establish a framework of accommodation centres from which it can draw down accommodation as and when needed over the coming years. At present, the agency has contracted over 5,900 beds, with an occupancy rate at the moment of 90%. This includes some 600 people in accommodation who have been granted permission to remain in Ireland and are therefore technically ineligible for accommodation in these centres, but are still accommodated, understanding the difficulty in finding accommodation at present. Some have received a decision, while others have received decisions several months and indeed a couple of years ago.
Taoiseach, you said they recently advised the Department, but the Department actually only got to meet them yesterday. In the meantime, the residents and their families are being left in limbo as to their future for 2 months' time, the 3rd of December. They need certainty. They already come from a very difficult journey and a very difficult path, and now they find their future here is absolutely in somebody else's hands, and they have no information. I can accept your commitment that the Department and the agency will interact with the residents this week, but given that this is the third centre to close in Dublin this year, is the Department aware of any further centres that are going to close over the coming months? And given that this is the third centre, what lessons were learned from the previous two that obviously haven't been put into action here, given that these families are being left in complete abeyance and their children without any idea of where they will be living by the time Christmas comes?
Thank you, Deputy. Taoiseach, to conclude on this matter.
Thanks, Deputy. I'm afraid I don't have an answer to all of those questions, but Minister Stanton is here and I imagine he'll be able to provide more detailed answers for you later on. Obviously, every effort is being made to make sure that accommodation is secured for the people affected. I don't think anyone would like to see so many people losing their accommodation so close to Christmas. So we're working on, or rather through the RIA, we're working on finding solutions, whether it's an extension of the existing contract or alternative accommodation for the people currently living there.